questions. All right, so why do we not see more attempts at sweeps in MMA? It's not like it's so much harder, but my whole game is based off of sweeps. Okay, so I believe he's talking about sweeps on the ground, like butterfly sweeps. And in order to get these in an MMA situation, a lot of times it would just be easier to stand up. So most people, if they have the ability to get underneath their opponent, they are going to off balance them and use that as an opportunity to get up over committing to a full sweep. Now, that's not everybody. I've gotten several sweeps in my fights, and it's been beneficial to me. So I think that it's a good thing to do. However, in completing the sweep, the person has, if there's way more, or the person is far less accepting of the sweep is a good way to put it. So say you're sweeping the person with your regular butterfly sweep. Well, right before the guy goes over, he's going to get that arm back and post it on the ground and start like sprawling his hips to the ground. Like, in order for you to finish that sweep, a lot of the time you're actually going to have to get up into like a double leg type position or like a knee tap type position and like run it, or get up with a heavy underhook and work into like a judo throw of some sort. So that requires more effort, also requires a lot more wrestling acumen or judo acumen, takedown acumen. So most people will just elect to stand back up. Now, if we're talking about foot sweeps, yeah, most fighters are pretty young, and foot sweeps take a long time to master in every gym that I've ever been in. The best people for foot sweeps are always like the old heads, and I can speak to that because I'm now that old head that doesn't shoot double legs, only does foot sweeps and throws. So that's probably one reason why we don't see more foot sweeps standing. But yeah, I think that the main reason we don't see a lot of sweeps on the ground is because the person just will rather get back up. It costs less energy, and then they get their hands back. There's also this one, and I answered this in the community. So those of you that are in the community that are watching this, you probably already heard this, but this is a question from Mr. Lucas Wang, part of our community. Welcome, Lucas. He's saying, for a striker getting into MMA, of course, there's working on good old takedown defense, but what are some ways for strikers to control the distance and make it harder to be shot on in the first place? Principle that as a striker I can implement ASAP without years of grappling in advance. Okay, so obviously, it's best to acquire a high level of grappling knowledge before getting into MMA. But if you don't have time for that and you just want to scrap, I understand you. I was you. So what I'm saying here is use your striking footwork in order to make sure that the other person has their back against the wall, right? So if I'm a striker and I don't want to get taken down, it's much easier for me to sprawl into space than it is to sprawl with my back against the wall. Now, the wall can help you to stop takedowns as well if you understand it very well. But if you don't have that wall knowledge, then you definitely want to keep your back off the fence. And even if you do have the wall knowledge, it's way easier to stop the takedown before any grip is established. So if I can back up into space or sprawl into space and stop the person from getting a hard grip or connecting their hands or even getting a strong underhook, it's going to be much easier. Whereas if my back is on the wall and the person shoots, they can guarantee that they're getting a connection. They might not get me down, but they're definitely going to be able to connect their hands or at least get an underhook or a hook on something. Okay, so that's a huge portion of it. Some other things that you can think about are employing the use of knees, front kicks, in order to keep the guy at bay. You guys could probably hear my baby in the background. She's a loud baby. She's super cute though. So when I am trying to wrestle somebody, I am terrified of running into knees. They can smash your face. I know that from experience because one smashed my face once and it's not fun. So if the person is throwing a whole bunch of front kicks all the time and teeps, I'm like a little bit hesitant to go down there. I wouldn't say to do this with like body kicks, because body kicks are somewhat easy to catch, or at least easier to catch than say a head kick or a low kick. So when I'm attacking wrestlers, I'm generally sticking to linear weapons with a few head kicks thrown in for good measure. That way, if the person shoots, often the time that they will run into the knee of the kick. And it's also just a deterrent, right? Like when the person's legs are flying up at you all the time, it's like, do I really want to bring my head down there? Chances of actually getting your face smashed by the knee are decently high. Some people say uppercut. Uppercut can be useful, but it's not the greatest for like halting that forward momentum of the person changing level and entering. It's just not quite strong enough. Where the knee would really do damage. It will take more time to understand how to time the knee properly against a person that is shooting a takedown, but that also helps you if you are pressing forward, okay? Because you can, it's a little bit easier to time than if you're sitting back and waiting to go when you see them coming in. So I hope that answers your question. And yeah, if you guys have any more questions, make sure to put them in the chat. I don't think there's anybody else on here right now, but we have a Q&A questions now portion of this community. So anytime you have a question about something, feel free to put them in there. And then after the week is over on Saturday, I'm going to go through them and come on here and start dropping answers.
I'm Kajan Johnson. I'm an ex-UFC fighter. If you're an MMA fighter and you want to hack the system, I've got your back. I'm creating Pro Fight Guide, everything that you need to be a pro fighter. We've got a bunch of courses that are already done and we are cranking out new ones all the time. We've got the anti-wrestler guide, right? I fought a bunch of wrestlers. I fought Islam Makhachev. I fought Rustam Habilov. I fought Adriano Martins. I fought world champion jiu-jitsu guys. I fought Greco-Roman wrestlers. I fought freestyle wrestlers. Man, I've been fighting people trying to hold me down like my whole career. Needless to say, I've been studying this problem intently, and I've crammed all of the knowledge that you need to beat wrestlers into one guide. One-stop shop. This has bottom game, this has striking, this has cage control strategies, wall work, how to get up, how to rip their leg off if they don't let you up. It's got everything you need to whoop on these wrestlers. The anti-wrestler guide alone is like 70 plus videos or something. I'm gonna keep adding to it. MMA basics course, we've got all the things that you need to know for like your first year of training really. Striking strategies, grappling strategies, submission escape, submission attacks, positional awareness, passes, transitions, footwork patterns, the basic weapons, the most important weapons, the foundation of the weaponry, the arsenal that you need to build as an MMA fighter, how to change from striking into takedowns, strategies on the wall, like how do you grapple on a wall, because a lot of the time people just teach you jiu-jitsu and they teach you wrestling and then they're like, yeah, go, and then there's a wall there and you're like, what the hell do I do with this thing? They're like, I don't know, figure it out, right? You don't have to figure it out. Get the MMA basics guide. That's what we made it for. I know some of you guys live in remote communities. Like I grew up in a town called Burns Lake, like 2,500 people tops. We don't have access to elite level MMA instruction in Burns Lake, BC. This is one of the reasons that it's so important to me to make this. It's gonna be a database for people that don't have access to world-class coaches. You do now. Just get the Pro Fight Guide, 70% off still. This is the last chance. You gotta get it now. We're raising the prices because it's just gonna be too valuable. Even if you're not a pro fighter and you just wanna learn how to defend yourself, if you wanna learn how to get in shape, MMA honestly for me is the best way to stay in shape because it's so much more stimulating for your brain than running on a stupid treadmill. Last chance right now for the 70% off pre-order on Pro Fight Guide. We're raising the price